If you like our content, please like and subscribe. Moments before zero, World War II was the largest conflict in human history, and its numbers still defy belief. Between 60 and 75 million people died worldwide. That was roughly 3% of the global population at the time, and more than half of those deaths were civilians, not soldiers. Cities became targets. Entire populations were displaced, starved, or annihilated, and the scale of suffering went beyond any previous war. The Holocaust alone murdered around 6 million Jews, alongside millions of other victims targeted by Nazi ideology. It remains one of the darkest statistics of the war, and a reminder that total war did not only kill on battlefields, but also in camps, ghettos, and occupied cities. World War II was not a European war with distant fronts. It was global. Dozens of nations fought on both sides, and over 100 million people served in armed forces. The major Allied powers were the United States, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and China. The Axis powers centered on Germany, Japan, and Italy, but the war spread across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, drawing in countries large and small, often under occupation. In industry, the war became a competition of factories and supply chains. The Allies outproduced the Axis in almost every major category. The United States alone built around 300,000 aircraft by the end of the war. The Soviet Union produced well over 100,000 tanks and self-propelled guns. Germany and Japan built powerful machines, but they could not match the industrial scale of Allied production. In a war of attrition, steel and fuel mattered as much as strategy. On the oceans, the numbers were brutal. The Battle of the Atlantic lasted almost 6 years, the longest continuous campaign of the war. Roughly 3,500 merchant ships were sunk, along with hundreds of warships, and tens of thousands of sailors died. The Atlantic became a numbers game of tonnage, convoys, and losses. Whoever controlled the flow of supplies would determine who could keep fighting. In the air, strategic bombing reshaped warfare. Cities like Dresden, Hamburg, Tokyo, and Berlin were devastated. In some places, more than half of all buildings were destroyed. Warsaw was almost completely leveled and rebuilt from the ground up. The war showed that air power could erase entire neighborhoods and break societies, not just armies. The numbers also reveal the scale of displacement. By 1945, tens of millions of people were refugees. Borders shifted, populations moved, and entire regions were emptied or resettled. The war created the largest forced migrations in modern history, and the consequences lasted for decades. Even the economic cost is difficult to grasp. By today's standards, World War II consumed trillions of dollars and forced entire nations to convert their economies into engines of war. Civilian life became rationing, labor mobilization, and factory output. Total war meant total society, and yet the war ended in just 6 years. 6 years that reshaped borders, alliances, and the balance of power for the entire world. The numbers show scale, but behind every number was a life, a family, and a city. World War II wasn't only the largest conflict in history, it was the most total war humanity has ever seen, and its numbers remain the clearest reminder of what total war truly means.